Okay, this is intended to pick up where I left off earlier. So, uh, we have an issue where a lot of Christians, especially people who use the King James Version, are confused with what is it, judges and kings, because they're the same word. It's the same thing. So, Melech is king, Vemelech is high king. This is pertinent in the Vav-He. So again, the name of God is Yod, Yod, He, Vav, He. Each of the consonants has a sympathetic vowel that's naturally in it unless described otherwise by use of a different consonant. So it's very plain to understand. It takes someone with a degree and a lot of technical knowledge to mess this up for you. It's really simple. Okay, so what we have is again the acrostic. So when Jesus was hanging on the cross, it was written in Greek, in Roman, and in Hebrew. Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. So I'm not sure what the Greek is. I don't even care about it anymore, or the Latin. Something about raining or something like that. Hey, quiet. My son's watching SpongeBob. He's 6. Anyway, so when we get down to Hebrew, there's no J's at the time. It's only Y's. So it's Yeshua. Joshua would be the correct name now. They made it Jesus, which is Jesus, Jesus, from the Greek, which is Son of God. But we're not that God. So, Yeshua, HaNazaret of Nazareth, Vemelech, High King, HaYehudim of the Jews. In Hebrew. So if you use the first letters of it, it's Yod, He, Vav, He. So while he was hanging on the cross, doing it, it said what he was doing. And the high priest, being used to using the acrostic, this knowledge of the first word, or the meaning of the word, or the first letter in things, they saw that, and they went back to Pilate and said, hey, change it to he said, because it would have added another consonant, several consonants. And Pilate said, no, what I have written, I have written. So it stayed. And again, the acrostic means Yeshua, Yod-He, Yod is the hand, Vav, He is grace, Vav is the nail or coat hook, and He is again grace. So it's the hand of grace nailed in or by grace. And that's what the whole thing was about. There's more about Golgotha, the place of the skull, where David put Goliath's skull after removing it into a hill, and that is the place of the skull where the Romans executed Jesus. There's a large tunnel system under there, and we can prove that the blood actually flowed down through there into the place where the Ark of the Covenant was, and it flowed down onto that seat. There's actually scientists who have gone into the tunnel system and found blood that has perfect DNA, not the half chromosome of male or female, but perfect, completely whole DNA of no one who's ever existed before. And there's just so much in this event and what's going on. We can go back, and if you look at, I think it's John and Matthew, maybe Mark. I mixed them up quite a bit. You see that at the moment of his death, the veil in the temple was rent from top to bottom. But if you go back and you look, when they made the veil for the temple, it was thicker than my arm. It was feet thick. And it ripped from the top to the bottom. A man, if he was going to cut it, would have to cut it from the bottom to the top. It wasn't. It was torn, ripped apart when the Holy Spirit came out. And then people who were dead came out and walked around because the Spirit was on the earth. It was loose on the earth. There's just so much to this. Anyway, going to finish this up. Hope that this helps us, enlightens, because I've always been interested in science, nature, other things, and there's so much pseudoscience that we're taught every day that says, this couldn't have happened. This isn't possible. Here, I'll give you another one. So if you've seen the Jurassic Park movies, where they talk about they drilled into the amber and they found the DNA of the animal, well, part of that's true. Not only have they found DNA, but they've also found air that's 2,000 to 6,000 years old, and very old air. What they find is that the oxygen content was more than double what it is now, and it was at much higher pressures. So today what we do is when someone gets burned or has a deep internal injury or deep injury, we put them in a barometric chamber with pure oxygen. What we find is that instead of the oxygen destroying the cells, it actually brings about deep internal tissue healing. So people who lived at that time were constantly being healed. I'm going to use my face to point some things out. So this part of your jaw never stops growing. This never stops growing, your eyebrow ridges. And the reason why is if you look at the trapeze of the jaw, the tendon actually wraps from the jaw up to the corner of the eyebrow ridge. So as you live in